absolute cowardly slurs that are thrown at anyone who tries to have an open, honest discussion about mass immigration from Islamic countries into the UK. Wherever Islam becomes dominant, and it's going to happen in India, so Indians need to really wake up. Hindus need to get ready, as you're fully aware. You're going to become a minority in your own country, the same as us. What happens to minorities when Islam governs and Islam rules, we all know. They get persecuted, they get raped, they get butchered, they get murdered, and they're driven from their own lands. So all the Islamic nations that once were Christian, once were Hindu, that have been absolutely obliterated with no human rights, no support, and no protection for minority rights, that's the reality when Islam becomes dominant. I want to do everything I can in my power, as humanly possible, to stop the Islamic takeover of my nation. And being a coward and being afraid of silly little words like racist or Islamophobic is not going to stop us.
By that logic, that makes you a minority in your own country. But having said that, you lost the libel case brought by Jamal Hijazi, a Syrian schoolboy. The judge said that you made Hijazi out to be a violent aggressor in the playground incident when he was in fact the victim, and that you made false claims. But you've maintained that law has been manipulated. Why so?
Well, if you watch the documentary, you'll see that 7 teachers and 5 pupils support me in those allegations. You'll see that the school records say that Hijazi got caught with a knife and screwdriver in school. You'll see that the school records state that he stabbed someone. The entire country was deceived with this lie. I broke that lie with my documentary. The judge, a corrupt judge, gave me an injunction preventing the public from seeing the truth. Right now, the public have watched the truth, nearly 30 million of them. So in the court of public opinion, I've already won. If the judiciary wish to send me to jail, which I believe they do, they want to lock me up. Once again, more people will watch the documentary, more people watch the film. I will be remembered as the journalist who absolutely destroyed the credibility of the British judiciary.
So, Tommy, are you saying that is the reason why your documentary Silenced has been banned? Why did you screen the documentary against the High Court orders at the Trafalgar Square on 27th July when it was banned?
I'm a journalist. I believe in freedom of the press and freedom of speech. I don't believe the public should be lied to or deceived about stories. Although I face 2 years in prison for that, I stand on my principles. We are only being gagged if we allow them to gag us, okay? If we allow them to silence us. They silenced me for 3 years with a gagging order. Not anymore. If you want to send me to jail for that, you send me to prison, but the world will know the truth. I urge every single one of you in India, the story that I showed in my documentary, which is pinned on my Twitter page at T Robinson New Era, is far bigger than Tommy Robinson. It's about the weaponisation of the judiciary against people who go against the government's narrative. Whether that be Steve Bannon, Alex Jones was fined £1 billion. £1 billion. This is a joke. The court cases against Donald Trump, Katie Hopkins, Geert Wilders, Marine Le Pen, anyone who has challenged the open border mass immigration policies of the New World Order is hit with weaponised judiciaries. My documentary totally exposes them.
Because I am exactly coming to that. Your arrest under the Terrorism Act, the UK Met Police and groups like Hope Not Hate maintain that you were arrested under the Terrorism Act because you allegedly screened your banned documentary against the High Court orders at the demonstration. How do you assess that reasoning for that arrest, considering the Southport stabbing incident has been ruled out as any terror-related incident?
I would urge every single one of you to watch my expose of the group you just named, Hope Not Hate. I've done a covert recordings. I've already done an expose documentary on that organisation to prove that they pay people to lie in the media, that they co-opt the media, that they manipulate the media, and that they use the media as a weapon against people. I've already exposed that. So I urge every one of you. When the police come out and say it's not terrorism related, let me give you one example of their lies previously in the UK. In 2016, if you Google this, Russell Square attack, a Muslim went into his mosque, and he said that he wanted to kill non-Muslims. Do you know what the mosque done? They prayed for him. They didn't report him to the police or security services. They prayed for him. Now, he left that mosque that day and he went and stabbed 7 people in Russell Square while screaming, Allah Akbar. Okay? He done that and he murdered an American tourist. We were told it had nothing to do with terrorism or jihad. That was clearly an act of jihad, clearly an act of terrorism, and our security services and our media lied, because that's what they continue to do. They lie and they deceive us. Every time there's an act of jihad or an act of pure Islam, we're told Islam is a religion of peace. It's getting pretty tiring now. So anyone who's educated on Islam, on Mohammed, they know full well it's a violent fascist ideology that promotes war against non-Muslims, that promotes slavery of non-Muslims, and promotes rape of non-Muslims. We're fed up of the lies. Unfortunately, this could have been a mental health incident in Southport, but we don't believe them anymore because of their continued lies. No one believes them anymore.
But Tommy, is the writing in the UK going to put an end to that kind of terrorism? The new Labour Party government is holding your far-right movement, members of the English Defence League, for bringing UK to a knife's edge, whether it is the Downing Street, Southport or even Sunderland, and for spreading misinformation about the identity of the 17-year-old Southport attacker as an asylum seeker. Are you and the English Defence League stirring violence and spreading misinformation online?
Can I explain to you how absolutely ridiculous this is? There has been no English Defence League for over a decade. There's no group. There's no organisation. But they're blaming the English Defence League. Why are they doing that?
Because they don't want who are these supporters who are on the roads, who are your supporters?
They're not my supporters. They're the general public. All the people arrested in Southport were from Southport. The general public are on the streets in towns and cities across this country because they're fed up. They're sick to death of the lies. They're being replaced in their towns and cities.
So are you saying that the Guardian and the likes of the BBC are lying in their reportage?
The Guardian and the BBC. Are you winding me up? I'll give you another documentary. Anyone who doesn't know me, watch the documentary I've done on Panorama, which is the BBC's investigative documentary makers. I got covert recordings of them creating fake news about me. I've already exposed all this. The BBC are fake news, the Guardian are fake news, they're elitists, and their job is to deceive the public. It's why they hate journalists like me. I go straight to the truth, I escape all of their lies, and I give the truth to the British public when they're being lied to.
All right. UK's Home Department and, of course, the government says that nobody minds peaceful protests. Who is destroying the peace in the hood?
On Saturday, the 27th of July, we had 100,000 people in our capital city, the biggest gathering of patriots the country's ever seen. We had a festival of music and we had a demonstration, and we were slandered and attacked by the media and our politicians. There was no violence there, but we were still called far right, still called extremists, still called racist. It doesn't matter what you do. Even though on our stage, half the people not talking were non-white. We embrace migrants that come to this country and love it. The problem is Islamic migrants come to this country and declare war on it. They wish to subjugate us. They're not here to integrate or assimilate. They're here to dominate. We are sick to death. The entire world cry victim. You are fully aware of this. Your Hindu audience are fully aware of this. We are fed up. We're fed up of weak, cowardly government who appease an Islamic minority because they're continually scared of the riots and violence that that community are threatening.
So what's explained?
We're fed up.
So who's responsible for the violence on those roads?
Our government and our police force for their two-tier policing, for their absolute cowardice, for coming down hard on British people and allowing minority groups to run riot across our country with no policing. The police literally run away when Muslims come out to protest. They literally hide. Their police stations come under attack. Buses are set on fire. Police cars are set on fire. There's no police horses. There's no police with dogs. There's totally different treatment. They have sent a message to the British population that if you want to be heard, you have to riot. You are seeing the consequences of their failures to enforce the law equally across all communities right now on the streets of the UK. It's not our fault. We've continually called for peace, but we're not going to be silent on the problems. The problems are that big. We're losing our country. We're losing our culture. Our identity is under attack. And Islamic jihadist, militant rapists are plaguing every town and city in our country.
In fact, as we speak, Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer has announced that he will be protecting the mosques and the Muslim community. He's referred to the protests as thuggery. He's also attacked the online social media platforms for promoting misinformation. What do you have to say about the newly elected UK Labour Party?
He's a total coward, and they want open borders. They're replacing Labour voters with minority groups to continually vote in them. Do you know how many Muslim women have been raped by gangs of English men in the UK? Have a guess. None. No. Not one. Do you know how many young English girls have been raped by groups of Muslims in every town and city across our country? 1,000 rapes in just Telford. Telford has a 1.7% Muslim population. 5 people have been murdered by the Muslim gangs in just that one town. They operate in every single town. So I find it absolutely insulting that Keir Starmer wants to protect the Muslim community, because our daughters are being raped and pillaged across our country by Muslim invaders. So we're insulted by his words. We want protection. We want our children to be safe. We want our women to be free to walk down the streets. And when I say our women, I mean Hindu, Sikh, Christian, Jewish women, all of them. We're all in danger. We're all at risk. We've had enough. We're not against migrants, okay? I'm against Islamic immigration into our country.
Okay.
If it's everyone's responsibility, what are Qatar doing? How many are they taking in? What about Saudi Arabia? How many of their brothers from the Ummah have they taken in? None, because they want to participate in population jihad into Western nations. We haven't had a problem with any of the Sikh community who've come to the UK. They've been brilliant. We haven't had a problem, and we don't have any negative views towards Hindu immigration into our country. We have a problem with a hostile community coming in and declaring war. That's where we have a problem.
Now, UK's mainstream media is claiming that you have, quote unquote, fled the UK amid contempt of court proceedings. Have you, and why so, when you claim to be a patriot?
No, I haven't fled the UK. I'm on holiday with my children, a holiday that was planned. I never received any court documentation summoning me to court. I'm not on bail to attend court. So once again, you're being lied to. There's a process that a court has to go to if they want somebody in court. That process is not to give information to far left extremist organisations who then notify me of my court date, which is exactly what happened. And am I going to go to court because a far left extremist George Soros funded organisation tells me to? No, I'm not. If I'm summoned by a court with paperwork, yes, I'll attend the court case. But I haven't been. I'm on holiday with my children. I've not run away from any court case. In fact, I look forward to these court proceedings because it's the British judiciary that's on trial, not me. Nearly 30 million people have watched my film, which they tried to ban. 30 million, okay? Only 9 million people, element of my country. This film is in the public's interest. I'm happy that the world has seen the truth. The media lie, they deceive, and they fool the public with their narrative. And I've gone and broke their lies and exposed them in a major way. I'm proud of my work as a journalist, and I stand for freedom of the press and freedom of the speech.
Tommy, the media says that you are lying. Is it true that Stephen Christopher Yaxley Lennon is your real name and that you're using the pseudonym of Tommy Robinson to hide your identity and a checkered past?
No, it's not true. My name is actually Stephen Lennon. But yes, I did use the pseudonym. Do you know why I used the pseudonym? Because if you want to speak about Islam, people want to kill you. 6 Muslims are currently in British prisons for 30 years for planning to murder me. They got caught with guns, bombs and suicide vests. Okay? So I tried to protect my name because I wanted to protect my family. Because unfortunately, if you express your freedom of speech against anything to do with Muhammad or Islam, people from the religion of peace wish to butcher you, murder you and behead you. So yes, I did use a pseudonym for my family's protection. I don't think that's ridiculous at all.
Tommy, your critics have accused you of being Islamophobic and racist. Is that true?
Islamophobic. There's no such word. You're currently sat in India. Hindus know full well of the persecution from the hands and the hostility of Islam. You know full well of the rape jihad. I think you call it love jihad, but rape jihad. We in this country have been blessed with immigrants from certain demographics which have loved and embraced this country. One of those demographics is Indians, Hindus, from India, and Sikhs. So no, I have absolute love for many minority groups that come to this country, and I wish to send them a message that we will stand with you. We will unify every community against the hostility and barbarianism of Islam. I'm not racist. I despise racism. Islam is not a race. Islam is a fascist, violent ideology which masquerades as a religion. And words like Islamophobia are created by absolute cowards who are scared to have the true discussion on the problems of the core teachings of Islam and who the barbarian was who founded it. He was a rapist, he was a murderer, he pillaged, and men who wish to perfect him and believe he is the moral compass for the world will go on to pillage, rape and murder as well.
They say your movement is racist and that it is a privileged white man's racist movement.
We have huge diversity in our group, huge diversity. So our movement is full of people from every background, of every race, of every religion, okay? But we oppose Islam. Unfortunately, these are the absolute cowardly slurs that are thrown at anyone who tries to have an open, honest discussion about mass immigration from Islamic countries into the UK. Wherever Islam becomes dominant, and it's going to happen in India, so Indians need to really wake up. Hindus need to get ready, as you're fully aware. You're going to become a minority in your own country, the same as us. What happens to minorities when Islam governs and Islam rules? We all know. They get persecuted, they get raped, they get butchered, they get murdered, and they're driven from their own lands. So all the Islamic nations that once were Christian, once were Hindu, that have been absolutely obliterated with no human rights, no support, and no protection for minority rights. That's the reality when Islam becomes dominant. I want to do everything I can in my power, humanly possible, to stop the Islamic takeover of my nation. And being a coward and being afraid of silly little words like racist or Islamophobic is not going to stop us.
By that logic, that makes you a minority in your own country. But having said that, you lost the libel case brought by Jamal Hijazi, a Syrian schoolboy. The judge said that you made Hijazi out to be a violent aggressor in the playground incident when he was in fact the victim, and that you made false claims. But you've maintained that law has been manipulated. Why so?
Well, if you watch the documentary, you'll see that 7 teachers and 5 pupils support me in those allegations. You'll see that the school records say that Hijazi got caught with a knife and screwdriver in school. You'll see that the school records state that he stabbed someone. The entire country was deceived with this lie. I broke that lie with my documentary. The judge, a corrupt judge, gave me an injunction preventing the public from seeing the truth. Right now, the public have watched the truth, nearly 30 million of them. So in the court of public opinion, I've already won. If the judiciary wish to send me to jail, which I believe they do, they want to lock me up. Once again, more people will watch the documentary, more people will watch the film. I will be remembered as the journalist who absolutely destroyed the credibility of the British judiciary.
So, Tommy, are you saying that that is the reason why your documentary Silenced has been banned? Why did you screen the documentary against the High Court?